Hello and welcome to the Healthtech Marketing Show, brought to you by Health Launchpad and those wonderful people at HIMS who've been our partner on this podcast and a whole bunch of other things for a couple of years now. So I'm Adam Turinas. I'm Health Launchpad founder and CEO, and I'm the host of the Healthtech Marketing Show. I want to give a big thank you to you for listening and always looking for ideas and for feedback on the show. Today, I've got a very unusual guest. The guest is actually me. Yeah, so I've never done this before. Usually I have some brilliant, insightful person that I'm interviewing. Don't worry, I've not run out of brilliant guests to speak with, but I just wanted to take an episode to share some things I've been learning about recently. And these are based on conversations I have with dozens of technology marketers. And I think there's some things that you're going to find useful as we leave 2023 and we enter the brave new world of 2024 and whatever that has to offer. I get together a group of health tech growth leaders, marketers, salespeople who lead the growth for a range of different health tech companies, big and small. And we get together monthly and we talk about a variety of topics that they're interested in. And over the last year, I've heard some things that I think will help you think through some of the key things that are going to be happening in 2024. And I've summarized this down to 9 key trends. So let's start with trend number 1. And trend number 1 is about budgets. So when I asked this group, what do the budgets look like for next year? The general consensus is that budgets are going to be under a lot of pressures, particularly as sales cycles continue to get longer. And so it was a mixed response. And I would say that generally it splits between the majority who say budgets are at best going to be flat and a small number that said that budgets are going to grow. But by the way, I actually also did a survey on LinkedIn and I saw somewhat similar results. So it's like most people saying budgets are flat, a smaller number saying budgets are going to grow, and then very few actually saying that they expected smaller budgets for next year. The biggest pressure that they're under is to demonstrate ROI. And that's easier if you're in a high growth sector, for example, anything related to workforce or related to AI for that matter, particularly if it has an impact on clinical workflows. Now, so that's trend number 1. General prognostication for next year is that budgets will for most just be flat. So number 2, I mentioned AI, and I couldn't possibly do this podcast without mentioning AI. So I think the general feeling is that next year AI is going to get real. And that means that more companies are going to be using it and using it still to experiment, but also in many cases using it as actually part of how they do their work. However, there is still skepticism. So virtually every leader said that they are all exploring and actively using new AI-powered productivity tools. For example, 1 or 2 said they were using Copilot. Somebody mentioned Lavender, which helps you personalize emails. Runway ML, which I think is a video. DeepScript, which I use, which I love. It's a video tool. And then Synthesia, which is another video too. The general thought is that while the hype is high, actual use cases for using it are still developing. There are concerns, right? So there's a lot of concern about the issue about being accused of plagiarism, right? So if we're all using it to repurpose everybody else's blogs, somebody's going to get called out for plagiarism. And several of the marketers I talked to said that they are working on developing responsible use policies on how their team should use them. AI is something, if you're not using AI, you really do need to get on that bandwagon, because that thing is going to be, it's going to be an even bigger deal in 2024. The next issue, and this is one of my favorite ones, is about leads and lead generation. So the general consensus is that lead quality and sales alignment will rise in importance. So a lot of companies are now shifting away from quantity of leads, moving towards a focus on lead quality and lead conversion, which I love to hear. It feels very much like a trend moving towards account-based marketing, which if you've know me, is something I'm a little bit obsessed with. But I do think that there is a general embracing that it's much more about quality, not quantity. The other thing is everybody recognizes that it doesn't work unless there is tight collaboration between sales and marketing, particularly when it comes to nurturing leads properly. The last point, and this also goes back to AI, is that a lot of companies are working on how to personalize their outreach and develop more personalized tactics, whether that's through social media, through DMs, through email, or through personalizing content. And this is becoming an increasing priority. And I think it goes without saying that AI can have a big impact on that. We recently one of my colleagues wrote a fantastic blog post on how he's been using AI to personalize messages, or at least advise clients on that. So number 4 is quantifying marketing's revenue impact will still be hard, but it's even more important. So especially if you're selling something with a long sales cycles, it's really hard to correlate what you're doing from a marketing standpoint and on revenue, either to get credit or to actually understand how you can improve on what you're doing. And I think a lot of people are going to be experimenting with different ways of doing lead source tracking, multi-channel attribution models. But given economic pressures in the technology sector, and healthcare is not immune from that, there's going to be even greater pressure to prove the ROI of marketing spend. The C-suite is going to be looking at that, scrutinizing that even more than ever. So let's change gears and then talk about content, because that's a subject which in our industry is particularly important and particularly relevant. One of the things that is a general theme is about video. And so the general theme and trend number 5 is that everybody wants to do more video, but it's still challenging to do well. And so everybody recognizes that we all could be doing a lot more with video in terms of thought leadership and even lead generation. But there's a lot of obstacles in terms of how to produce high quality video at scale. And several marketers that I talk to are starting to experiment with some of the sort of AI synthesis tools like Descript and Synthesia that actually can help you create better videos more efficiently and get your own folks to do it rather than having to outsource it to folks like us. Anyway, and one of the things that everybody wants to be able to do is figure out how to personalize and customize that. And I think the hope is that some of these tools will help them do that. The second topic around content, so it's actually theme number 6 out of 9, is that creating a connection between PR and content marketing is a big and under-leveraged opportunity. And so I've observed that in many organizations, marketing and PR, particularly in bigger organizations, work in their own separate silos. And I think the smaller organizations actually are better at this, but it's actually leveraging content to build relationships with the press and industry analysts. And so doing that is a great opportunity. So creating byliners is an example of that. We do that for a lot of clients, and it's basically creating a piece of content and doing it as a blog post and then pitching that as a much more substantial byliner, which is authored by one of your executives. So that's a sort of a pretty easy sort of example that I think many people do. But I think that's, everybody recognizes that's an untapped opportunity. And then topic number 7 is that writing is still going to be a key foundational skills. And I always find it very interesting that when you ask a group of CMOs, B2B CMOs, particularly in healthcare, what are some of the key skills that are important to keep in-house? Content creation and content writing comes up at a sort of pretty high up the list of those key capabilities. The irony is that we spend a lot of time talking about the value of writing assistants. Like, for example, I use Claude AI in a lot of what I'm writing, and they're surprisingly good at building a compelling narrative. But at the same time, keeping it authentic is still a very human skill. And these are still skills that we're not going to outsource. I think we've even found within our own organization that I think our content team was understandably a bit nervous about the impact that AI could have. But I think the more they learned about it, they realized that it's more friend than foe. So what's trend number 8? Trend number 8 is about the tech stack. So there's a lot of talk in B2B circles about how underutilized the tech stack is. So there's this dilemma going on of the desire to add more tools, like by adopting ABM tools like Demandbase and Propensity and Terminus. There's a desire to add more AI tools, all those sorts of tools like that. But the economic reality is that given how under-leveraged so much of the tech stack is, there's going to be a great deal of pressure to consolidate. And I think that developing your skills in marketing and revenue operations is going to be very important in 2024. And being the judicious steward in how you manage your resources, while still adding some of these more innovative capabilities, is going to be a real art. So last trend I want to talk about, and that is that customer success and retention will gain in priority. It's the old adage is it's 4 times or 10 times easier, whatever your favorite multiple is, to win business from an existing customer than a new customer. And so as things get tough, it's even more important to keep and retain what you have. And so what we expect to see is greater alignment between marketing, sales, and customer success as well. So the 3 of those working as a sort of essentially a trifecta, a holy trinity of customer growth. Overall, I'm really encouraged by the positive outlook that most B2B marketers I talk to have. I would say it's guarded optimism in the sense that they're all generally positive about the opportunity, but pragmatic about the reality. It's not all sunshine and lollipop. And out of all of the things that I talked about, I'm particularly excited about the ones that sort of are more geared towards a shift towards account-based approaches, focus on quality over quantity, and being able to measure it. And I do think that that's how we get to a much more efficient and effective mode of marketing. And if you want to learn more about it, we help a lot of companies in account-based marketing. And I even wrote a book on it called Total Customer Growth, which you can get on Amazon, or you can even get through our website, which is healthlaunchpad.com. And if you get on the Health Launchpad, the book's free. You just pay for the shipping. Before I go, I want to let you know that you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or whatever your favorite podcast application is. And if you're listening to this and you want to watch it, we've even got a YouTube video and there's a blog post about it and all that great stuff. We repurpose our content a lot. Tons of great guests coming out. This is going to be the last episode of the Healthtech Marketing Show in 2023. My plan is to try and do one of these a week in 2024. So thank you for listening, for watching, And by the way, if you've got a topic you want to discuss, please reach out to me at adam@healthlaunchpad.com. I'm always open to new suggestions. So if you're listening to this in December of 2023, I want to wish you a happy holidays and then a happy 2024. And if you're listening to this in 2024 or beyond, happy whatever year you're in. Bye.